All right, folks, welcome in. Glad to have you back today for this edition of Urban Hunting. You know, I always like getting out in the outdoors and hope that you take the opportunity to. And when you do, bring a young person with you and get them involved in the outdoors. Today, we're learning about a new product called Bagger Buck and its inventor, Donovan Grant. Donovan, tell us, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's great to be on your show, and I always love talking about hunting. So
let's talk a little bit about
especially if it's urban hunting.
There you go.
You know, it's Bagger Buck's been around a long time. I know that there's been a lot of people that hadn't heard about it, but this is actually our 10th year in business, and
wow.
yeah, that's why I say wow. 10 years have gone by, but you know, it is an old timer's technique, so it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, people, you know, I'm used to people using all kind of different attractants. You know, where I come from, growing up in Louisiana and then hunting in Arkansas, they just put corn out, you know, because every deer is attracted to corn. In the state of Tennessee, we can feed them outside of hunting season, but during hunting season, you can only use certain attractants. And this is how I found out about Bagger Buck is I was informed that it's the only legal attractant you can use in the state of Tennessee, but that's not necessarily completely technically true, but share with us about that.
Well, it is the only thing I usually use during
Right,
season.
yep.
But you know, the thing about it is you want to supplement your deer and you want to do it year round. And the good thing about Tennessee is you can supplement year round. Bagger Buck does fall into that category as a supplement because of the way that you basically you take and you hang the bag up in a tree.
Right.
So then that way they can't reach the bottom of the bag. Now in other states we found different techniques work differently. And different blends. So I kind of did different blends for coastal states where the deer already get a lot of salt and minerals, but they still need a lot of nutrition.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I switch up those blends a little bit, and we recommend Sweet Tooth or Rack Sack for those areas. But a lot of guys in Kentucky know they use a low hang technique, and in Tennessee. So you can actually hang this lower with our bigger bags. I wouldn't recommend with a packer bag, but this is actually this is our #1 selling bag, packer bag, and it's and you see it anywhere you'll see it in stores. This is the size that you see. I mean, it's just it started out being 3 pounds, and it's pushing every bit of 5 pounds now. But we still only say it's 4. But but it is an awesome supplement, and it works real well. But the big thing about it is that you need to supplement your herd, especially if you're in the management end of it. It's just real important because they have a lot of needs, and as the herd gets bigger, you know, we're well over 1 million in population now, and as that continues to grow, then they have more needs.
Yeah, well, you know, from a management perspective, that's something in recent years that we've heard a lot more about, you know, food plots with the right types of food, the right types of mineral mixes, as you mentioned, different mineral mixes for different areas of the country. How many different mineral mixes do y'all have?
Well, we currently manufacture 3 different mixes, but what we mainly sell is special blend.
Okay.
That's what everybody knows us for, is special blend, just because it works so great, and you know, it's hard to beat it, really.
Right.
I mean, now different areas we recommend the other ones. And the guys that use Sweet Tooth or Rack Sack, we only sell those on our website.
Okay.
Too. Everything else you see is just special blend in stores, and we call those specialty blends.
What is your website?
It's baggerbuck.com.
Baggerbuck.com.
Yeah.
So you can visit that website to find out more information about Bagger Buck, but at this time, tell us about some of the pictures we're going to see right here.
Oh, man, I tell you what, you know, I get pictures sent in every year, and this one that I'm telling you about, Scott, it's amazing because there's a whole bunch of bucks sitting there just working this bag. It's in Arkansas, and there's some really nice folks sent me in a picture, and but this one is just a monster. He's got to be 180 class. I mean,
wow.
They're all in velvet still, but you know how
Right.
they look even bigger when they're,
They
in
do when
velvet.
they're in velvet.
But man, yeah, check out these pictures.
Scott Davis with Urban Hunting TV. You can find us on Facebook at Urban Hunting TV. You can go to our website, urbanhunting.net, and you see all the products that we sponsor. But one that we're excited to introduce today is Totaflage. Totaflage. Get a jump on the prey. Folks, welcome back. Boy, that was a nice buck, man. You got any more you want to show us?
Oh yeah, there's some more, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Well, tell us about the next one there.
Well, this one here is, it's talking about urban hunting. This one right here is close enough you can see downtown Nashville.
There you go.
That's pretty close, but this one here I called Mac Daddy. And I watched him, and he'd been on bag buck for years. And but it's amazing. I drop that bag down as low as I can. Some deer come in and work the bag. And in this video, you'll see that he's actually working just the ground. That's just the way he always did it. You never get a video or picture of him ever touching the bag, even though it's low enough where he can grab a hold of it. But
so those minerals, actually, the moisture's getting into the bag. It's melting the minerals, and they're dropping down onto the ground, then absorbing into the ground, right?
Right.
Okay.
And in this video, you'll see it's on a low hang technique, and you can see all right around it. It's just worn out. There's roots, there,
right.
And so he is a dandy.
He's a dandy.
Yeah.
And
he gave me one opportunity, and that was all I got, and I never got another one, but. It's a nice buck.
Well, that just proves that just because you're from the city doesn't mean you're dumb.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
yeah.
I can tell you, if you get into the urban area and you get into these woodlots, and most of them, 5, 10 acres, I mean, it's like being in your living room. If somebody came in your living room and moved your recliners 6 inches, you'd be going, why is my recliner moved? Well, it's the same when you get into them deer's bedroom. They get in there and they go, that tree is over there, been over a little bit more than it was been over the other week. That's not a good sign.
Well, I'm going to tell you something about that too, and that is very true. This buck, I can go check my camera, and I go back and look, and he will not come back within 4 to 7 days in that area once he's sending me.
Right.
So, I have to let my camera run long enough. And, of course, they are attracted. When it rains, they know this bag's dripping. But even though he's still smart enough that he still waits that period of time before he comes back. But a lot of the videos I got of him, he's very leery, especially after that one encounter.
Well, folks, let's check this video out. We'll be right back.
Yeah, did you see those splitters on his G2s, both sides?
Sweet.
Yeah, he's a big buck, big buck.
You brought up a good point. That's one thing I try to tell people when you're talking about how you got your scent, and then on camera you didn't see him 5, 6, 7 days. One of the techniques that I use in urban hunting is having more than one property to hunt. What I've learned over the years, and like I said, a lot of what I learned goes back to experience because I'm always trying to tweak what I'm doing. But one of the things is you have to attribute entering a piece of property as a pebble going into a lake. If you're on a still glass lake and you take a rock or a pebble, small pebble, and you throw it into that water, you're going to see a ripple effect.
Right.
It doesn't matter how light you throw that pebble or how small, there's going to be a ripple effect on that water.
Right.
Well, your entry into property is the same way. If you think about it, it's how I think about it. That sound noise that travels out, the scent that travels. You have to be very particular about scent direction and about times and opportunities. What I noticed too is that, say for example, I figure out how to get quietly into a property to hunt. If I harvest a deer off that property, it may be a week before those animals are back in there. I know that properties where I've harvested one and I've hunted 2 or 3 days in a row, If I don't harvest one on the first day, it's very seldom I see anything after the second or third day because I was in there and my scent lingered. So then you have other properties, and then the other thing you start learning, another thing is weather. When you're hunting in the urban environment, one of the keys about weather is if it is warm, people are outside. Kids will play late in the evening. There'll be a lot of activity. People will be working their flower beds, cutting their grass. But if it's cold, nobody's outside. It's quiet.
Right.
And it is amazing how with temperature, how just recognizing that,
Right.
how my percentages of harvest have gone up because on a cold evening, I can go out and sit till dark and it's quiet. You might hear a garage door open, you might hear a car pull in, but you don't hear anybody outside playing.
Right.
But it might have been 40 degrees all week and all of a sudden you got a 60-degree afternoon, every kid in the neighborhood's out playing football.
Right.
All the way till dark and you don't see anything. And those animals, they're aware of that.
Right.
And it's just like I said, it's those ripple effects that go out. And so when those ripple effects are light or quiet, and you're very conscious about how you enter and very conscious about the sound that you're making and how you're approaching that because that's your quarry,
Right.
then all of a sudden your percentages go up as far as your harvest increase.
That's true. And the thing about that too, I'll add to that a little bit, is I too have a great understanding of that, and I think a lot of hunters that's been doing it for a little while. But one thing I do is because I run cameras year round, so in a sense I'm hunting year round.
Right.
But I'm always going in those same areas, so those deer are familiar with me. So they're not as spooked, so to speak, because I'm going and checking those cameras. Now, one thing I found though is that I have other areas where I don't run cameras because you can't always run cameras and be out there and expect for Big Boy to hang out. Even though I've got some really great shots of some really good deer, when I'm feeding proteins and right now trying to build mass because right now is the best time to do it. Putting supplements out, your spring food plots, and then also, having that protein, which right now is the best time for growth. And I've got some now that are really looking good, but there are those areas though that I just don't go into, and then I don't pressure them during season either, because I can't go in there and hunt in that area every single day except for, now, exception to the rule is when it's rut, hey,
That's a special 2-week period during every year, isn't it? That's
Yeah. So I mean, things change a little bit at the end, but but I definitely agree with you. I mean, there's so much true about going into the area and not trying to disturb what you're trying to do, and not over pressurizing an area where the deer, they know you're there. They know where you're going to park. They know,
Right.
Change that stuff up,
Well, folks, we'll be right back. Let's get a word from our sponsors, and we'll also look at a few more deer that Donovan has for us with bagger buck. Well, folks, welcome back, and we're talking about bagger buck with Donovan Grant. And Mr. Grant, tell us about how this thing works at different times of the year. You mentioned that at a certain time of the year is important for protein. Break some of that down for us.
Well, You know, for example, like January, February, you know, they're starting to shed, they're starting to drop their antlers. So that's a great time for supplements to really focus on your supplements and your proteins. The reason why that's important during those times is because basically they do deplenished all that they've had, basically. And in order for them to start growing those antlers back, they've got to build up get calcium back in their bones. So that's a great time to start. Now, with supplement, no matter what time of year it is, you want to get it out there as soon as possible and start it right away. So I get people a lot of times, they'll call me, they'll order some, or they've used it in the past. They're like, so should I wait till about 2 or 3 weeks before season? I'm like, no. This size bag right here will last you 6 months to a year. So you want to get it out there just as soon as possible and let them start getting the benefits from the nutrients that are in it. The sooner the better. Now, let's say that you get a real big rain and throughout all the spring it just rains and rains and it deplenishes your bag. Just get another one. I mean, you want to keep a supplement out there year round. That way that the deer can have the opportunity to be able to help them, especially going into spring months. We were talking about that. I start my protein just as soon as I can, and I use several different ones. There's several different ones on the market. I also have some that I manufacture for myself, but hadn't quite got it out there yet to the market. I really like it. Maybe we'll do that pretty soon. But the benefit of that is one, if you get it out right after your deer season ends, then you get to see all those deer that are coming back into the area, and you can get them on camera. You can see what made it through the season that didn't get shot on your neighbor's property.
Yes, that's a good point.
And so I've got actually some pictures that, that you'll be seeing in a minute too, of a real good buck that I call Saw, and I call him Saw because I saw him several times. But the main reason why I call him Saw is because he's on one side, he's got 3 drop tines, and he looks like a saw blade on one side. He's just an amazing deer, and ran right underneath me during rut at 5 yards under my stand. Couldn't get him stopped, pouring down rain. Anyway, I'm going back next year.
But you know he's out there too.
I know he's still there, and I've got him on camera already in the growth already. So when you talk about spring, so the big thing with spring and summer is ticks, mites, fly larvae. They are just draining the deer. I've had deer that I've called leatherhead, or where they have just if you run cameras, you'll see they get a lot of ticks, especially here in Tennessee, because our freezes are not strong enough, and a lot of times they get diseases and things from those ticks and fly larvae. So it's important for you to put out something to help them. And a lot of times, I get pictures, or I'll have people that share pictures with me of deer that you can tell that they've got some problems going on. And that really helps them during that time period. And the protein, of course, during that same process, through, when deer season's out, all the way up through the growing season. And in my case, I do it by law in Tennessee is up to, I got, so many days before season. In other states like Kentucky, I can continue that process throughout the whole season. Right. So I have a benefit in Kentucky for that, and so do a lot of hunters up there.
Yeah. Well, that's other states. Every state has different laws on what you can put out for attractants and how you can feed the deer, whether you can do it during season, out of season, all those things. A lot of different opinions on that. But the bagger buck you can use year round. You can put it out and you can hunt with it. You don't have to change it out or anything. So that's one of the reasons I like it so much, is the fact that it's something that never has to be changed. I don't have to worry about what I'm doing because it's approved by TWRA. It's legal in the state of Tennessee. I can put it out and use it. It helps the deer. It helps with the growth of the antlers. Right. And it's a great product. When we were talking about the photos. Tell us about a few more of your photos. We're going to run them right here. So go ahead and tell us about a few more of your photos.
The next one's Saw, and actually I think this is maybe a night shot of him. But you can see he's out of velvet in this one, and you can tell he's a nice buck. He's just real wide and tall, and I don't know, for me,
And there's no trees around in the background where I can tell where he's at, right?
no, no, it's pretty dark there, but there is actually a bag hanging right there.
Right there with him.
Right
Okay.
there with him, and like I said, he's been on it, for several years.
Wow.
And so he's a local, and I didn't get to shoot him last year, but
Something to look forward to this season, right?
it is, and I'm having a lot of fun watching him, getting pictures of him for the last several years.
Right.
And last year, that was the first year that I got a picture of him with the 3 drop tines, and they weren't big, but they had
But they
still
were there, huh?
they're on one side.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of
That's
fun.
awesome. What is your website? How can people find out about you again?
It's baggerbuck.com.
Okay.
We also sell it in Tennessee Farmers Co-ops all over. Sportsman's Guide. We sell a lot in Sportsman's Guide catalog mail order company as well.
But they can find out about you just by going to Bag or Buck, and it'll be at the bottom of the screen so you can see it on there.
Right.
It's the contact information. And what's one of your biggest experiences? Tell us about a hunt you went on where Bagger Buck was involved that you were like, wow, man, this is awesome stuff.
Well, it's, I hear stories all the time from different people that use my product, and the most amazing thing, I guess, is that every time I go out there, it's always something, especially, excuse me, especially, I was talking about Mac Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it hadn't rained in a while, and when I had the opportunity to take a shot at him, and it rained, it was like 2 weeks when we had no rain. I had the bag hanging up, had the camera going. I knew that he was going to be there, and I knew he'd be there at 7:15. And I said, okay, I'm going. I know right where he's going to be. And where I was at, there's no place for a stand.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's on a fence row, and there's some cedars. And I thought, okay, I'll get up on one of these cedars here, and I know he's going to be there because it's raining. I know that bag's dripping. So I get there. Sure enough, here comes in the does. I see them filtering in, and they're all going right in, sticking their nose right in it. And then I see him, and I said, here he is, and I'm ready to roll. I'm ready, and he, sure enough, and I've got a trail camera on.
See, I can tell, just point out, I can tell you're a hunter right now, because when you said you're ready, I could just see that look, man. It's like, I'm locked on. I know everything's about what I'm doing right now.
It absolutely was, too. It was probably one of the best experiences, to have him walk in and drop his head right in it. And I've got a perfect broadside shot of him, and I shot. He jumped the string, and of course, I was a little nervous too, I might add, because it just all happened so quick, just like what I thought it was going to happen.
Right.
But it was amazing though, because there's a fence there, and he walked in and walked around the fence. There's a big tree right there, and when he jumped between that fence there, and I was amazed. There's a barbed wire fence there, and he jumped right through it, and my trail camera picked or got the picture of him, or video actually, of him jumping through the fence.
Wow. Wow.
It was exciting time. I know I didn't.
It's exciting, but you're talking about jump the string. I had a mature 10-point at like 25 yards bow hunting. I'd been hunting this deer for a year. I knew he was in there. I'd seen him one other time. I only saw him twice. This is about 15 years ago. So the second time I saw him, I was able to get fully drawn on him. He's standing there, head down, and I released the string. And the second I released that string, he hit the ground.
Oh, yeah.
He just dropped, and the arrow
That's what this one did.
went right where I was aiming.
Yeah.
And just went right over him. And I'm sitting there going, I'm just sitting there in amaze, like, how? I've never seen that happen before.
Hey,
but when it does, it's like in slow motion. It's like, wow, did you see that?
I'm going to add something to that. So I know that feeling inside.
Yeah.
You just went, oh.
That's it. It's like,
whoa.
What happened?
Yeah.
I did everything right, and it didn't work.
So when you were sitting there telling me about that, I was reliving that
that moment.
again.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, yeah. It's. But it happens.
It does.
And in my situation, I wasn't expecting him to do that at all, because,
you're so focused in and locked in on the actual process of what you're doing, and you're thinking, boy, this is perfect shot, perfect target acquisition, you know, everything's right, squeeze the trigger, you know, doing all that, and then things that you don't believe happen. You're like,
Yeah.
how can a deer move that fast?
You know what the term is after something like that happens? Because I've had, you know, if you hunt, you have a lot of experiences, but I melted.
Yes.
I just melted.
That's it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
how? All the time and energy and effort.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know the thing about it is though, you know, I went out there, it was raining, and the bag did exactly what
What it was
it was
supposed
supposed to do.
Right.
And the thing about it is that it's habit forming and pattern changing. So what happens is not only is it good for them, but when it rains, they relate that with, you know, hey, there we go.
Right.
But deer are smart because, you know, deer travel for food sources. I mean, you know,
They do.
and if they need a supplement, and if that's what they need during that time, they're gonna search out, and so it just works really great.
Yeah. Well, it's a great product, and I'm glad you were here with us today, Donovan. We're going to show you some more pictures as we go out. But thanks for joining us. Thanks for talking about bagger buck.
Well, thanks for having me.
And you can get all the information there. Look at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to go out with a music video here by Kevin Blake Weldon. Enjoy it. Once again, if you have any pictures, anything you want to send in, send it to urbanhunting.net. And you can connect with us, email us. If you have a place that you want us to hunt or you want us to come film you, then just connect with us there at urbanhunting.net, and we'll be glad to solve whatever ails you. So come back and join us again next week. Donovan, thank you once again.
Hey, thank
For a
you.
great
I
show.
appreciate it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See you, folks.